everyone, welcome to Drishti CUET and welcome to this most important session where you are going to solve your Chemistry CBSE Board 2025 paper. Basically, we have already solved part 1, right? And in the part 1, you have solved till question number 21 to 25, 22, right? 21 question we have already solved, which includes your MCQ based question and short question like one-liner question answer. Now today we are going to start with or continue with question number 22 to till question number 33, right? And as you all know, like pattern is same, right? Here only you have 5 sections, right? Section 1, or you can say section A, contains your MCQ based question. Then section B consists of your 2-mark question. Then section C consists of 3-mark question, D 4 and E 5-mark question. So basically total 33 question. You will get options within the question. It's not like out of 33 you have to solve only 20 question or 30 question. No, all the 33 questions are compulsory. Within the question you may get some options, right? Now, why this session is important, guys? Because as you all know that this is your board exam paper question, right? And if you are able to solve this question paper before going to your next year exam, right, you will get a better idea like what type of question you are going to get from certain topics of your subject, right? How you have to prepare, which topic you have to give more weightage, right? And what are the topics from where you will never get questions. So that's why, like, if you are appearing to any exam, either it is board or it is competitive, right, try to solve 5 to 10 years PYQs. Okay, the questions you will get in the PYQs now, that the topics from where you will get the question, those topics becomes very important. So while solving the PYQ, just try to note down the topics. If it is a multi-subject, see here we have a chemistry, only one subject, right? It includes all the, like, whatever the syllabus of your chemistry, like solution, you have electrochemistry, you have a chemical kinetics, D block element, then you have coordination chemistry, and then you have organic chemistry. So here you will get questions from all those topics, right? Now what you have to segregate, that in which topic, like suppose you have a solution, so under the solution what type of question you will get. Okay, so such questions, such like this only you have to prepare for your exam. So here till question number 21 we have already done in the part 1. It is already uploaded in the website, you can check it. Okay, and now today we are going to start with section C. So basically A and B section done. From today we are going to start with section C to section E. Each question we will see how you have to write down the answer and what is the specific answer. See, in the chemistry now you will get, like, if you have a 5-mark question, so you will get 5 questions, each question 1 mark. So you have to write down only to the point answer. It's not like you have to write down the whole paragraph type answer and you will get the mark. The one point, the relevant point is important. Okay, so here let's begin the session, guys. So very first we have section C, and this question based on your organic chemistry, and it is related to the conversion. Okay, here the structure is given, right? And under the presence of certain reagents, you have to prepare the, you can say that, your product, right? So now question number 1, like question number 22, what is the A part? CH3, CH2, Cl. Okay, in the presence of KCN, first of all, what you will get? CH3, CH2, Cl in the presence of KCN, CH3, CH2, Cl. Okay, ethyl chloride. In the presence of KCN, first of all, this Cn will replace this chloride, right? And you will get CH3, CH2, Cl. So this is your A product in the presence of KCN, you will get CH3CH2Cl. All right. After that, here what happened? In the presence of LiAlH4, lithium aluminum hydride. In the presence of lithium aluminum hydride, your nitrile group reduces to primary amine. Here what happened? Nitrile group reduces to primary amine, right? So what result you will get here? See, CH3, CH2, this C is already here only. So CH3, CH2, CH2, NH2. So initially you have 2 carbon compound, right? Here you have 2 carbon compound, but at the end what you will get? 3 carbon compound, right? So this is your B. Okay, this is your B. And what is this? Primary amine, right? Primary amine. Again, the third is what? Again, your primary amine, CH3, CH2, CH2, Cl. This is your primary amine. In the presence of nitrous acid, HNO2 at 0 degree Celsius temperature, what happened? This nitrile reduces and ultimately what you will get? Alcohol. CH3, CH2, CH2OH. Alright. So this is what? This is your C. Answer number C. So like this, you have to only answer the product. Okay. So this is the first conversion of question number 22. Now the second conversion of question number 22 is, again here you have a nitrobenzene. Nitrobenzene, first of all, what form in the presence of FeCHCl, then in the presence of Na2 and HCl, and then you will see again you have added phenol. So what product you will get? Okay, so basically this is the second part of your question number 22, right? First of all, nitrobenzene. This is what? This is your nitrobenzene. In the presence of FeHCl, what you will get? This is your first product, right? 6H5 benzene, and this nitro group reduces to amine group, right? So reduction of nitrobenzene to aniline. This is what? Your aniline, and this is your A. Answer for A, right? After that, this aniline, in the second step, this aniline react with NaNO2 plus HCl, right? So what you will get? Here you will get diazonium salt, basically benzene diazonium chloride, right? So ultimately C6H5, now here N2 plus Cl minus. This is what? This is your diazotization reaction. So this NaNO2HCl is a diazotization reagent, right? And here what you will get? Diazotization reaction. Ultimately what you will get? Benzene diazonium chloride. So what is this? Benzene diazonium chloride, right? And what is this? This is your answer number B, right? Again, this benzene diazonium chloride react with phenol. So the third reagent is what? Third reagent is your phenol. Okay, so this is your benzene diazonium chloride, and when it reacts with phenol, okay, so what ultimately the result you will get? C6H5, here N, double bond N, OH, right? So what ultimately you'll get? Para-hydroxy azobenzene. Para-hydroxy azobenzene, you will get the option number C. Okay, so like this you have to write down the product only. Now how to remember this? Like, see, whenever you prepare for your organic chemistry now, so what you have to do in for conversion type question, okay, there are few reagents which is repeated again and again, like your LiAlH4, NaNO2, right? So just try to note down these reagents and try to note down their function, whether they are oxidizing or they are reducing. Okay, see, if they are oxidizing in nature, in that case they remove hydrogen and they add oxygen. If they are reducing in nature, they used to add hydrogen and remove oxygen, like your FeHCl. So this is your reducing agent, right? So what happened? Oxygen removed and hydrogen added. So like this, you have to make a list of reagent, then whether they are oxidizing or they are reducing agent, and based on that you just make a conversion. So this is just a trick how to solve the conversion type of question. All right, then again we have question number 23, which is your 3 marks question, right? How will you bring about the following conversion? Again you have a conversion type question, and the number 1 is benzoic acid to benzaldehyde, right? So let us see. Number 1 is what? Benzoic acid to benzaldehyde. So very simple conversion, only you have to remember the reagent, right? What reagent you are using. So benzoic acid is what? This is your benzene, okay? And COOH, this is the acidic group, acid group, or you can say OIC group, okay? So this is what your benzoic acid, right? Now this benzoic acid, in the presence of DIBALH. Now what is this DIBALH? This is your diisobutyl aluminum hydrate, okay, or hydride, okay, aluminum hydride. So in the presence of DIBALH and dry ether, this is the only reagent which helps in the conversion of acid into alcohol. So aldehyde, sorry. So what you will get ultimately, this is your benzaldehyde, okay? This is your benzaldehyde, right? So benzoic to benzaldehyde conversion, right? Next is what? Ethanol to propanone. Ethanol to propanone. Ethanol, again what? Aldehyde to ketone. One is what? Ketone. So how you are going to convert aldehyde from aldehyde to ketone? Okay. So basically ethanol, right? So guys, यहाँ पे simply ethanol again converted. Ethanol is what? CH3CHO, right? This is your ethanol. Now this ethanol, in the presence of K2Cr2O7, what is this? Potassium dichromate, right? In the presence of potassium dichromate, first of all, what happened now? See, you have this ethanol. How you will get ethanol? From the alcohol. Like suppose you have CH3CH2OH. Okay, this is your ethanol. So when you treat ethanol with K2Cr2O7, you will get CH3CHO. This is your ethanol. Now this ethanol simply undergo oxidize, or you can say oxidative cleavage, right? And you will get CH3, C double bond O, CH3. So this is the reaction how you will get ethanol to your propanone. Now the third one is acetophenone to benzoic acid. The third one is C is acetophenone to benzoic acid. Now what is acetophenone? Your benzene related ring. First of all, try to understand the structure. Try to write down the structure. Acetophenone. That means some rings required here. Okay. So acetophenone, C double bond O, CH3. This is your acetophenone. What you have to make? Benzoic acid from this acetophenone. So now this acetophenone, first of all, react with KMNO4 and KOH. And ultimately what you will get? You will get the salt of potassium, right? Acid of potassium. And ultimately in the presence of H3O plus, what you will get? You will get benzoic acid. So simply if you remember the reagent, see, no need to write the mechanism here. Okay, if the question comes only for 1 mark, only you have to write down the reagent, because here the reactant you know, product you know. What you have to remember? Only the reagent. Okay. Basically, this is what, this is the, you know, your mechanism for what? This is the mechanism for the next question, that is bromobenzene to 1-phenyl, bromobenzene to 1-phenyl ethanol, right? Bromobenzene to 1-phenyl ethanol. So this is the mechanism, right? But how you are to, this is your bromobenzene in the presence of magnesium and dry ether. This is the D part of 23. In the presence of magnesium and dry ether, when you are using magnesium and dry ether, that is nothing but the Grignard reagent. Okay, so first of all, what happened? This magnesium MgBr comes here and you will get RMgX. So this is the Grignard reagent. Then ultimately this is your CH3COH, that is your aldehyde. So from here the electron goes to oxygen. Here you have a negative charge. So this oxygen goes and bind with the bind with Mg, because here you have a positive charge. And ultimately when electron binds here, you will get a negative charge here. So this will bind with the carbocation. When the electron goes here, here you will get a positive charge. So ultimately this pH, now this pH bind with this CH. Here you will get OMgBr and ultimately CH3. In the presence of water, you will get the desired result. So this is the mechanism which is not required, only you have to write down the answer. Okay. Now the question number 24, again the question asks from the naming reaction. So basically in your organic chemistry, this again naming reaction is an important, whatever the naming reactions given, just make a list of those naming reactions, their reactant, their products and their reagents. Sometimes they will also ask you about the mechanism, so you have to prepare with the mechanism also. All right, so let us see the answer here, guys. First is 24A, write the reaction involved in the following: Riemer-Tiemer reaction and Kolbe reaction. Okay. So this is your Riemer-Tiemer reaction. In Riemer-Tiemer reaction, ultimately the reactant is what? Phenol. So phenol in the presence of CHCl3 plus aqueous NaOH at 340 Kelvin. Okay, what you will get? You will get salicylaldehyde. What is this? Salicyl. Salicylaldehyde. salicylaldehyde. Okay, so salicylaldehyde, and ultimately what you will get, ONA and CHO, right? This is your salicylaldehyde. Then, which is also a salt of sodium. Then this salicylaldehyde, actually what happened, undergo reaction, further H plus ion proton remove, and ultimately what you will get, salicylaldehyde. So only from the phenol you will get the result salicylaldehyde. This is the Reamer-Tamer reaction. From phenol you will get aldehyde. Okay, what is the mechanism required here? See, this is your OH comes from NaOH, right? So nucleophile. So first of all, this hydrogen gives his proton to alcohol, oxygen. Hydrogen ने अपने proton alcohol को दे दिया and hydrogen remove हो गया. OH goes with hydrogen. ये जो OH है hydrogen को लेके निकल गया and this electron comes to oxygen. Okay. Now what happened? Oxygen has a minus charge. ये ऑक्सीजन के इलेक्ट्रॉन इस बॉन्ड पे आएंगे, राइट? दिस बॉन्ड इलेक्ट्रॉन कम्स टू दिस बॉन्ड, दिस इलेक्ट्रॉन रीचेस टू दिस. दिस इज जस्ट द रेजोनेटिंग स्ट्रक्चर. Now here you have a negative charge, right? So now here CHCl3. So ultimately this is the structure CHCl3. So one OH takes hydrogen and also it removed. So again ultimately what happens, Cl bhi nikal gaya and you will get C, Cl, Cl and radical. So now what happened, this react with this. So here this is the reaction. Then what happened, again one more Cl goes out and the OH comes here. So again the resonating structure, the electron transfer, and ultimately you will get hydroxybenzaldehyde. So this, sometimes they will ask you the mechanism also, sometimes they will ask you about the reaction directly, the product. So Reamer-Tamer is again going to be very important. Okay. Kolbe reaction, salicylic acid. Simply, in Reamer-Tamer, from phenol to salicylaldehyde, right? And in Kolbe, phenol to salicylic acid. So here, and in the presence of NaOH, ONA, sodium phenoxide, CO2H plus, and here you will get the result. So in these type of reactions, okay, no need to show the mechanism. Only you have to write down the product, right? Depending upon the mark. If the question is given, shows the mechanism of that, then you have to show the mechanism, how to write, how these products will generated. Okay. See, this is the mechanism for Kolbe's reaction. Again, you have OH removed. Then this minus comes here, electron, and here you will get the electron density. Again, you have a CO2. So CO का one bond oxygen पे गया. Here you will get the plus. So it will bind here. You will get CO2H. Tautomerism undergo and you will get salicylic acid. ठीक है? Then this salicylic acid, when react with methanol alcohol in the presence of H2SO4, you will get methanol salicylate, right? In the presence of this, you will get aspirin, and in the presence of phenol, you will get phenyl salicylate. So these are the other products what you will get. Okay. Then name the reagent used in the bromination of phenol to form 2,4,6-tribromophenol. So ultimately these questions, all three questions are 1 marks only. Here you have to just write down the reagent used in the bromination of phenol. Right? So again what happened for the bromination of phenol? In that reaction you have to only write down the answer. Okay. Then next is question number 25. A first order reaction is 25% complete in 40 minutes. Calculate the value of rate constant. Now this is your chemical kinetics. From chemical kinetics, mostly you will get numerical, this type of numericals only. Okay, so here the first order reaction is 25% complete in 40 minutes. Okay, calculate the value of rate constant. You have to calculate the value of rate constant. In what time will the reaction be 80% complete? Given the value of log 2, log 3, log 4 and log 5. So these you are going to use in the numerical basically. So now let us see how to solve such question. First of all, for first, this is how you have to write down in your answer copy of your board. Okay, for first order reaction, integrated rate law. What is the integrated rate law for first order reaction, guys? Here it is ln A naught by A T, initial and at time T. You can also represent it like this, ln concentration initial and at time T, okay, equals to KT. First, this is the integrated rate law for the first order reaction, right? So now here A naught is what? Initial concentration, all right. AT is what? Concentration at time T. Rate constant mol T is your time, right? So ultimately what happened, guys? And this is the thing which you should know, right? After that, what is the question? Ki 25% reaction complete in 40 minutes. So 40-minute time taken to complete only 25% of the reaction. So hence 75% reactants still remain, na? 75% not converted into product, only 25% converted into product, right? So what is the rate equation here? You can write down like now 25% reaction complete in 40 minutes. Hence 75% reactant remains left, right? So ultimately A naught equals to 0.75, right? So now you have to substitute this value in this equation, okay? So what you will get? In equation, so what you will get ultimately? Log 1.75, right, equals to K time is 40 minutes. Why it is 1.1 by 0.75? See, 80 by A naught is 0.75. So now this log is A naught by 80. So when you reverse it, the total value becomes 1 by 0.75. So that's why it is 1 by 0.75 into K 40, right? Then just make it more simple, 4 by 3. This is 75, 100 by 75. You will get K 40, right? Now this ln, when you solve this log, you will get the value 0.287 into K into 40 equals to K into 40. So from here, just take out the value 0.287 divided by 40 and ultimately you will get 0.00719 per minute. Okay, so this is the value for rate constant. In the question, you have to find out the rate constant now. So this is the rate constant. Okay, then again what happened? Now for 80% reaction completion, right, 20% reactant remains. Okay, so when the reaction completed 80%, then you have only 20% reactant remains na, utna hi bachega. So now here, from here, what will be the value of log? So A T A naught equals to 0.20. Okay, then again substitute in equation. So again what you will get? ln 1 by 020 equals to k into t, right? Now you know the value of k. You have to find out the time, right? How much time it will take. So this is log 5 equals to k is 0.00719 into t. So from here log 5 value is what? The value of log 5 is 1.6094 divided by 0.00719 and ultimately 223.5 minute answer you will get. Okay, so this is the time taken. Okay, so this is how you have to solve this question. This is 3-mark question, so you have to be careful. Okay, question is very simple, only you have to since this is a numerical, so you have to calculate, only the calculation part is there. Okay, then what type of nucleophilic substitution, SN1 or SN2, occurs in the hydrolysis of 2-bromobutane to form butane 2-ol? So basically in this question, what is given here? What is asked here? Like what type of nucleophilic substitution? We have two type of nucleophilic substitution reaction, SN1 and SN2, right? So SN1 mechanism basically favors the tertiary tertiary, carbon, and more stable product you will get, and the SN2 favors for primary one. SN1 is your unimolecular reaction. For unimolecular, SN2 is for bimolecular reaction. Okay, so here what type of nucleophilic substitution occurs in the hydrolysis of 2-bromobutane to form butane 2-ol? So 2-bromobutane. See, 2-bromobutane. How you have to write down? 1, 2, 3, 4. Butane 1, 2. Second carbon you have bromine. Okay, second carbon you have bromine. So what you have to write down? 2-bromobutane. This is your 2-bromobutane. And from this, what you have to form? Butane 2-ol. 1, 2, 3, 4, all. Okay. So basically, this is what secondary carbon. Okay. This is your secondary carbon. And you know that secondary carbon favors SN1 mechanism only. So it undergo SN1. Okay. Since it is a Portic solvent, so SN1 is favored. SN1 proceeds via carbocation intermediate. So this is basically two-step reaction. In first step, what happened? The removal of bromine. So ultimately what you will get? C plus, right? This is the 1, 2, 3, right? So this is how you will get the product. Then after, the OH comes and binds. So this is the, you can say carbocation, secondary carbocation. What happens when chlorobenzene and methyl chloride are treated with sodium metal in dry ether? Okay. What happened when chlorobenzene and methyl chloride are treated with sodium metal in dry? So this is your chlorobenzene. Again, this is chlorobenzene when treated with methyl chloride, CS3Cl, and with sodium. Okay, so ultimately this is the Wurst-Fittig reaction. Again, this is one of the naming reaction, Wurst-Fittig reaction. So in the presence of diether and sodium metal, what it formed? Grignard reagent. And see, this is sodium metal, not Mg. Grignard reagent is RMgX. Okay, chlorobenzene and methyl chloride react to form toluene. So ultimately what you will get? CH3. So note down, this is the product CH3. So like this conversion you have to prepare, and again it is what? Wurst-Fittig reaction. So if you remember the naming reactions, like Wurst-Fittig reaction, what is the reactant, what are the products, and what are the reagent, very easily you are able to answer such questions. Then conductivity of 0.2 mKcl is 2.48 into 10 to the power minus 2 Siemens per centimeter. You have to calculate the molar conductivity degree of dissociation. So this is what? This is your electrochemistry new questions, right? So from here also you will get the numerical mostly. What is given here? The molar conductivity of K plus is 73.5 and the molar conductivity of chlorine is 76.5. So basically, what is the formula you are going to here use? First of all, you have to calculate the molar conductivity. Molar conductivity, which is represented by this. Okay. So now formula for molar conductivity, 1000 by C. Okay, and the conductivity, kappa is what? Conductivity. Conductivity is given what? 2.48 into 10 to the power minus 2. Multiply 1000 divided by concentration. So concentration is what? 0.2 mole. So 0.2 mole is the concentration. So when you solve, what you will get? 1245 centimeter square mole per liter. So this is what the molar conductivity. Now what you have to find out? The degree of dissociation, right? Degree of dissociation is represented by alpha. So basically degree of dissociation, how you will calculate? Alpha is equal to lambda m by lambda naught this m. Right? Now, what is this? This is the limiting molar conductivity, right? Limiting molar conductivity. Limiting molar conductivity. Alright. So, now limiting molar conductivity is what? This is given for K plus, for Cl minus. Okay. So 73.5 plus 76.5 equals to 150 Siemens centimeter square per mole. Right? So this is your limiting. Now you have to calculate this alpha. So simply put the value. Alpha is equal to 124, 150. Okay. And what you will get? 0.8267, which is approximately 0.83. So like this, you have to write down the answers. All right. These are the simple calculation based on formula only. So if you remember the terms, if you remember the formula, very easily you are able to solve such questions. All right. Now let us move to question number 28. Question number 28. A solution is prepared by dissolving 5 gram of non-volatile solute in 200 gram of water. Again, this question from your solution. Okay, so a solution है जिसको हमने 5 gram non-volatile solute मिलाया in 200 gram of water. So mass of solute is given, mass of solvent is given, right? It has a vapor pressure 31.84 mmHg and temperature at 300. Calculate the molar mass of the solute. right? You have to calculate the molar mass of the solute. So first of all, let us see what is given here. Mass of solute is given 5 gram. Mass of solvent, which is water, given 200 gram, right? Vapor pressure of solution is 31.84. Vapor pressure of pure water is 32 mmHg, right? And molar mass of M1, that water, molar mass of, we can calculate very simply, na, molar mass of water. How? H2O, 1 into 2 plus 16 is equal to 18. Molar mass of solute you have to calculate. Now, just you have to apply the vapor pressure, lowering vapor pressure formula, P naught minus Ps by P naught, which is equal to N2 by N1 plus H2. This is the mole fraction of solute, right? So N2 by N1. Simply, this is N2 is what? W2 by M2, N1 is M1 by W1. So like this, you have to just write down and then put the value 32 minus 31. See, this is for pure water, okay, P naught. So 32 minus 31 given 5 into 18, M2 into 200. Just simply put the formula, rearrange it, and ultimately you will get the molar mass of the solute, 90 gram per mole. All right. So again, what happened? See, it's not like they will give you a very conceptual question. Okay. Simply they will ask you about what? They will ask you about the numerical, formula based numericals. Simple. Next, this is the questions related to a passage based question है जिसमें प्रोटीन के बारे में दिया हुआ है, right? Based on the protein, here you have some paragraph like protein are the most abundant biomolecule of living system. Proteins are the polymer about 20 different amino acids which are linked by peptide bond. 10 amino acids are called essential amino acids. In deuterion, amino acid shows amphiteric behavior as they react both with acid and base. See, try to read the paragraph. Sometime now with the paragraph only you are able to get the answer of your question. So never skip reading paragraphs. Okay. On the basis of their molecular shape, proteins are classified into two types, fibrous protein and the globular protein based on their shape. Structure and shape of protein can be studied at 4 different levels. Like we have 4 types of structure in protein: primary protein, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Each level being more complex than the previous one. So of course, primary is the simple one, secondary is complex than primary, tertiary is complex than secondary. So like this, complexity increases. The secondary or tertiary structure of protein get distributed on change of pH or temperature, and they are not able to perform their function. This is called denaturation of protein. So this is the paragraph based on protein only. Now let us see the question. What are essential amino acids? So basically, essential amino acids are those amino acids which are not synthesized in your body. Okay, you have to take it from outside. So that will become essential to you. Okay, so if the amino acids, whatever the amino acid required, you have to get it from outside. So that become the essential. Okay, how you are going to write down? Essential amino acids are those cannot synthesized by the human body. You must obtain through the diet, right? So this is the perfect definition. Try to write down only the definition. Valine, leucine, isoleucine, lysine, these are the name of essential amino acid. Again, we have a non-essential amino acid which is synthesized in our body only. So no need to take it from outside because ultimately we will get it from our body itself. What is meant by zwitterionic form of amino acid? Zwitterionic, see, if you will see the structure of amino acid, here you will get two groups, NH2, COOH, H and R group, right? So H is common for all, NH2 is common for all, COH is common for all. What changes? This R. So based on R, we have a different amino acids. Now it is said that amino acids are having a zwitterionic form. what is mean by zwitterionic form of amino acid? So basically what happened now, in case of zwitterionic, right, here a zwitterion is a dipolar ion. Dipolar means two charges, plus and minus, okay, opposite charges separated at some distance, in which the amino acid molecule has a positive charge and a negative charge becomes to COH. So when it becomes dipolar now, what structure you will get? NH3 plus COO minus, okay, here H, here R. So this is the zwitterionic form of amino acids, where you have plus charge also, minus charge also, right? So this is what we call dipole, two opposite charges separated at some distance. So this structure of amino acid considered as a zwitterionic structure. Next, give one example of fibrous and globular protein. So your collagen is fibrous and your insulin is the globular protein. So collagen basically, helps in the synthesis of your skin, right? It is present between the cells, right? Extracellular matrices, it forms collagen, and insulin is a hormone, right? Which is releases from pancreas to control the blood sugar level. What type of linkage hold monomer of protein together? So basically peptide bond holds the two amino acids together, right? So in this question you have to show the bonding as well. Peptide bond, what is peptide bond, how it is formed? Suppose this is your one amino acid, okay, and this is your, suppose, another amino acid. Okay, this is your another amino acid. So now the peptide bond formed between NH2. So you can write down like this, NH2 also you can write down like this, NHH. Okay, so it is simple to understand. So one hydrogen from this nitrogen and OH from this carboxylic acid. Okay, also you can write down like this. C double bond O, OH. Okay. So now from here what happened? Hydrogen from one amino acid and OH from another amino acid. So with this what happened? H2O releases. H2O releases. And ultimately what you will get? You will get the product HOOC, CRH, NH, C double bond O, then C, RH, COO, NH2, here NH2. Okay, so this bond is called what? This bond is called peptide bond. This is called peptide bond, which is used to connect two amino acids, right? Like two glucose connected with glycosidic linkage. Similarly, two amino acid connected with peptide linkage. All right. Then what are the structural features which characterize a reducing sugar? Okay, so for a reducing sugar, the aldehyde and the ketone group must be free. Okay, then only they are able to reduce. Na? If they are in between the other element, they are not able to reduce. So they must be free to reduce. All right. So a reducing sugar must contain free aldehyde or ketone group, right, enabling to act as a reducing agent. Then what is the structural difference between nucleoside and nucleotide? So again, nucleoside, see, this nucleoside and nucleotide is what? They are the monomer of your RNA and DNA, or you can say they are the monomer of nucleic acid. when so many nucleotide joins together, na, they form nucleic acid. Okay, when nucleotide joins together, they form nucleic acid. So here let us see the structure of nucleotide. Nucleotide form from three structure. Okay, three things. First of all, it require sugar, then base and phosphate group. So these are the three things which together forms one nucleotide, right? So here sugar either ribose or deoxyribose, depending upon the what you want to make, RNA or DNA. So suppose you want to make DNA. Okay. So for DNA, the sugar must be deoxyribose sugar plus base may be adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. Any one base you can choose, maybe adenine, maybe guanine, cytosine or thymine, and the phosphate group. So these together forms one nucleotide. So similarly, when so many nucleotide combines together, right, they form DNA molecule. Clear? Nucleoside is what? How nucleoside is different? Here it is made up of sugar plus base only. No phosphate group attaches. Okay, then it called as a nucleoside. Then question number 30. The involvement of n-1d electron in the behavior of transition imparts certain distinct characteristic of these elements. Thus, in addition, so basically this para is again based on your coordination compound, right? Coordination compound. Now let us see the question. Why do transition metal and their compound act as a good catalyst, right? Transition metal, basically your D block. So let us see one by one each question. Why it is called as a good catalyst? Because of having variable oxidation state. So like here in D block, you have a oxidation state +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6, till +7. So you have a different oxidation state, so that they are able to bind with many, you can say, compound, right? Allowing them to form intermediate compound, providing a large surface area for the reactant to react. So this is why they are called as a catalyst. Okay, it can easily lend and take electron, helps in the formation and the breaking of bond. That's why they are, best catalyst. What is the cause of contraction in the atomic size of lanthanides? So lanthanides and actinides are present just below the D block element, right? Now what is the cause of contraction in atomic size? So contraction in atomic size means as you move from left to right, the size of lanthanides, shrinks. The atomic size of the lanthanides elements now get shrink. That is what we call contraction. So what is the reason? Due to poor shielding effect of 4f electron, right? So the 4f electrons are not able to shield properly. That's why the nucleus attract the outermost electron and the size decreases as you move left to right. Okay, so here you can say that the decreasing atomic size will be the correct answer. Next, define lanthanide contraction. Now, what do you mean by lanthanide contraction? Again, the size, atomic size decreases. Okay, so as you move left to right, there is a steady decrease in atomic and ionic radii. So due to lanthanide contraction only. The atomic radii of third transition series is very similar, which is unexpected, and you will see the contraction. So basically in your D and F block element, in F block element, very sure question you will get it from contraction, lanthanide contraction only. Okay, so just prepare for that. Then in aqueous media, which is a stronger reducing agent, right? Reducing agent which undergo oxidation. Reducing agent which undergo oxidation, oxidizing agent which undergo reduction. These are the two opposite word which is connected together. So here in aqueous solution, which one is stronger reducing, chromium or iron? See, Cr2 is a stronger reducing agent than iron because Cr2 plus easily get oxidized to Cr3 plus. So very easily Cr releases their electron and becomes Cr3 plus due to extra stability of T2G3 configuration, right? So due to extra stability of T2G3, very easily Cr releases one electron and get oxidized. Fe has D6 configuration and D5. So whenever you have a D5 configuration, that configuration is stable. Why? Because D has 5 orbitals, which has 10 electron total. So either 10 will be stable or 5 electron. Each orbital has one electron state will be stable. So since iron has D5 state, which is stable, but less than chromium. So hence Cr is more eager to lose electrons. Since they are stable, they are not able to lose. When you are stable, you are not going to give anything to someone, na? So here they are not able to lose electron, making it a strong reducing agent. Now question number 31. Here you have to attempt any 5 of the following. So basically here you will get 7 to 8 questions. Out of those you have to solve only 5. The first is very easy. You have to write down the IUPAC name of the complex. So see, H2O you are using aqua, cyanido, then ethene diamine, right? How you are going to write down the reaction nomenclature? Ligands, first of all aqua, then cyanido, and then ethene. So in the alphabetical form, ACE. Cobalt is given. So aqua, cyanido, bis, ethane 1,2-diamine, cobalt 3 will be the IUPAC name of that compound. Why it is geometrical isomerism not possible in tetrahedral complex? See, in tetrahedral complex now, suppose this is the tetrahedral structure. So in tetrahedral structure, all bonds forms 109.5 degree angle, right? And the position of the ligands are equivalent. Each ligands are at equivalent position and they are at the angle of 109.5 degree. So it is not possible to make a cis and trans isomer where their relative position cannot vary significantly. So in case of cis and trans, you will either get this structure XX, HH, or you will get this structure X, H, H, X. So this is the cis and trans. So it is not possible to make a tetrahedral like this. Arrange CONH3 6, COF6 3, COCN3 6 in increasing order of, right? So here increasing order of splitting energy. The order of crystal field splitting energy depend on the strength of ligand, right? So cyanide is more stronger than amino and fluorine. So the increasing order of their crystal field splitting is this only. Hybridization and the magnetic character of NiCO4. See, NiCO4. If you will see the structure of hybridization NiCO4, this is how you will get CO, CO, CO. Okay, so this is how you will get the structure of NiCO4. So Ni has atomic number 28 and the electronic configuration of nickel is argon 3D8 and 4s2. So in nickel CO4, Ni is in zero oxidation state. So in case of nickel CO4, the oxidation state of nickel is 0. Okay, CO is a strong field ligand, causes pairing with 3D electron. Hybridization becomes sp3. No double bond, all the single bond. So sp3 hybridization, and here you will get the diamagnetic, that pairing between the electrons. Then the remaining part of that question is, out of COF6, 3 and this, which one complex is more stable and the high spin complex? What is the difference between ambidentate ligand and bidentate ligand? And write down the configuration of D5. So these are again a simple one-liner question only. If you are able to prepare the concept very easily, you are able to solve all the questions. Okay. So out of COF6 and COC2O43, so this is more stable because oxalate is bidentate chelating ligand, form stable ring structure or chelating effect which increases the complex stability. So since they are bidentate, they form a chelation, and due to the chelation the ring become stable. So this will be the stable one. High complex COF6 has a high complex because of F minus ligand. So since F minus is a weak field ligand, does not cause pairing of electron, resulting in high spin. Then difference between ambidentate and bidentate. See, ambidentate ligands are what? Electron donor. So ambidentate ligands in which both the species donate the electron to center atom. So here ligands will bind two donor atom bind but through only one at a time. So ambidentate, like suppose you have a NO, both are electron rich, both are able to behave as a ligand, but at a time only one will bind, either N or O. Okay. Bidentate ligand that binds through two donor atoms simultaneously. So bidentate means here again you will get the donor bind with the central atom bind with the donor simultaneously. Okay. So ethene diamine C2O4. Only one donor atom at a time, both donor atom bind with the metal. So this is the difference between MB and bidentate. Electronic configuration of D5 in an octahedral field. So see, first of all, T2G represent the lower energy orbital set, En is the higher energy orbital set. This is crystal field splitting energy, and P represent the pairing energy. So these are the symbols, and when crystal field splitting energy is greater than the pairing energy, then you have a low spin complex. So electron prefer pairing in low energy orbital only. So low energy orbital is T2G. T2G5 is the low energy orbital, En should be 0. If this is more than crystal field, then high spin complex electron occupy in higher orbital to avoid pairing. So here this is the configuration. Okay, see, these are simply fact based questions. Then the question number 32, calculate EMF of the following. Electromotive force. So this is the reaction given, the value of zinc given and the value of cadmium given. Part 2 is the state Faraday's second law of electrolysis. So let us solve the first part. See, this is the reaction. Standard electrode potential value is given. What is the cell reaction? See here, zinc becomes zinc plus 2, undergo oxidation, right? And CD plus 2 becomes CD, undergo reduction. So here what happened? Cathode and anode. At anode, oxidation takes place. At cathode, reduction takes place. Value is given. So standard EMF formula is E cell is equal to cathode minus anode. So at cathode, you have a cadmium, right? This reaction takes place at cathode, and this reaction takes place at anode, right? So here what happened? Cathode minus anode, cathode value and anode value. Ultimately, E cell naught is equal to 0.36 V. According to Nernst equation, E cell is equal to E naught cell. The value is given. Just now put all the values together, right? And ultimately, what you will get? You will get the result, EMF. All right. Faraday's second law of electrolysis. So what is the Faraday's second law of electrolysis says? Faraday's second law says that when the same quantity of electricity is, electrolysis is what? When you are applying electricity, the chemical reactions break. Okay. So, or you can say the chemical reaction takes place. So when the same quantity of electricity is passed through different electrolyte, the mass of substance deposited or liberated are directly proportional to their equivalent weight. So this is the Faraday's second law of electrolysis. Faraday's first law, second law, both are important. If in this session here you will get Faraday's second law, definitely next year you will get Faraday's first law. Okay. What are the effect of pH basically? So see, in aqueous solution, in water, right? Water when breaks, what you will get? H2 and OH minus, right? So it increases the OH minus. So basically the pH increases as the hydroxide ion increases. The pH, the value of pH increases. H plus ion, the pH decreases. So here OH ion increases, so pH increases. At anode, chloride ion get oxidized. So this is at cathode. At anode, chloride ion get oxidized. So ultimately the EMF is given this and the Faraday's pH increases. What is the effect of NaOH? It will increase the pH of the electrolyte. Then the last question, question number 33. What are the major products? Again, directly you have to write down the major product of the following conversion. Okay. So first of all, ethyl benzene C6H5 CH2 CH3 in the presence of KMnO4 and H plus and KOH. Since KMnO4 is a strong oxidizing agent, so since it is an oxidizing agent, it undergoes reduction. So it oxidizes the entire alkyl side chain, right, and form carboxylic acid group. So ultimately, what you will get? C6H5COOH, right? So this entire alkyl side chain is removed and you will get carboxylic acid. Benzaldehyde to acetone. This is your benzaldehyde acetone in the presence of NaOH. So basically, this is the Claisen-Schmidt condensation reaction, which is a type of aldol condensation, right? Aldol condensation where no alpha hydrogen required. So here, what is the product when you form this C6H5CHO and this acetone? Ultimately, C6H5 CH CH C double bond O CH3, right? So this ultimately you will get the result, alpha beta unsaturated ketone. Benzoic acid with Br and FeBr. So since COH is at meta-directing, it is a meta-directing group in electrophilic substitution. So bromination occur at the meta position relative to COOH. So what you will get? You will get meta bromobenzoic acid. You will get meta bromobenzoic acid will be the result. Simple chemical test to distinguish, right? So what are the tests required to distinguish acetophenone and phenyl ether ketone? You are using iodoform test, right? So here acetophenone contains a methyl ketone group, gives a positive iodoform yellow precipitate, right? Phenyl does not give yellow precipitate, so it is negative to iodoform test. So basically acetophenone gives yellow precipitate, phenyl ethyl ketone gives no precipitate. This is how you can distinguish between them. Pentanol and one. So this is ketone and aldehyde, right? So simply Tollens reagent. Aldehyde gives positive Tollens reagent, forms silver Miller, whereas ketone does not react with Tollens reagent. So pentanol silver Miller form, pentanol no reaction. Felling's test. Pentanol give red precipitate, whereas ketone gives no precipitate. So Tollens and Fallens are the test which is used to distinguish between aldehyde and ketone. Okay, simply aldehyde undergo Tollens and Fallens reagent, they react with that, but ketone do not. Give reason of the following. In semicarbazide, only one amino group is involved in the formation of semicarbazole. Acetaldehyde is more reactive than acetone. So see here, semicarbazide structure NH2NH COO So now the question is, semicarbazide, only one NH2 involved in the formation of carbazole. Because see here, out of the two NH2 group, one is directly attached to carbonyl group. So one is directly attached to carbonyl group, which form a resonating structure, right? And the other is free amino group. जो other है, ये हमारा amino group free है, which can donate a lone pair to carbonyl to form aldehyde ketone. So this is the reason. Then acetaldehyde is more reactive than acetone. Acetaldehyde is less hindered and less electron denoting alkyl group. See, acetaldehyde is what? CHO, CH, CH3C double bond O. This is acetaldehyde. And acetone is what? CH3C double bond O, CH3. So here you have two alkyl group, two electron donating group, right? Which reduces the electrophilicity of carbonyl carbon and also steric hindrance. Here you have a less hindrance and also you have less electron donating group. So that's why acetaldehyde is more reactive than the ketone. Then arrange the following in decreasing order of their acidic strength. Name the reagent and the Hell-Volhard-Zelinsky reaction. Decreasing order in acidic reagent. See here, this is your acetic acid, right? Acetic acid have CH3COH. Here nitroacetic acid, NO2 group COH. Here you have only formic acid. So first of all, in this structure, you have acidic group as well as nitro group. So this will become more acidic, okay, because of having electron withdrawing group. So electron withdrawing group increases acidity. Formic acid has no group, right? So more acidic than acetic. Nitro group enhance the acidity. So first of all nitro group, then this, and then this is the electron donating group. CH3 is electron donating group, so it reduces the acidity. Reagent is again diisobutyl aluminum hydride, simply. And the Hell-Volhard-Zelinsky reaction, again it is a naming reaction. So I as you all know, like I already told you to make a list of all the naming reactions, that will only help you. So this is how in the Hell-Volhard-Zelinsky reaction, the halogens alpha position of carboxylic acid, here you will get red phosphorus and halogen X2. So in the presence of X2P, you will get the product, that is Br2 and P. So guys, these are just the explanation of your CBSE Chemistry 2025 questions, which is only made to make you understand, right, what type of questions you will get. Okay, so based on this, just start your preparation and try to practice more and more questions, right? So with this, thank you everyone. If you have any doubt in any questions, please let me know in the comment box. Till then, bye-bye and take care of yourself.